punishment. If you know what the Quran has mentioned, and then if you commit sin, then Allah will give you double punishment, more punishment. Therefore, it's better that we remain ignorant, have a kacha license, and then commit mistakes, instead of having a pakka license and then committing sins. Beautiful logic. On the face of it, beautiful logic. But I tell these people, and the best way for a da'i to speak is agree with the argument and then prove them wrong. I tell them, I agree with you, that if a person having a temporary kacha license, if he bangs up the car, the police say will give him a fine of 1,000 rupees. And if suppose a person has a pakka license, a permanent license, and if he bangs up the car, the police, the law will fine him with 2,000 rupees. I agree with you. But if you analyze a person who knows how to drive the car, who has a permanent pakka license, the chances that he'll bang up the car in 1 year's time is say maybe once. But the chances the person who does not know how to drive the car and has a kacha license, he may bang up the car 50 times in 1 year. So at the end of the year, the person having a pakka license pays a fine of only 2,000 rupees, and the person having a kacha license pays a fine of 50,000 rupees. We Muslims, we are expert in giving excuses. There are some Muslims who say that reading the Holy Qur'an in Arabic without translation is useless. The Holy Qur'an says in Surah Nisa chapter 4 verse 171, it says, "La taghlu fi dinikum." Do not commit excesses in your religion. There are several verses in the Holy Qur'an, as well as in the Hadith, which clearly specify that even if you recite only the Arabic portion, surely you will get sawab. There's no doubt about it. Those who say that only reciting in Arabic without the translation is useless, they are absolutely wrong. There are several hadith, there are several Quranic verses which do say that you will get sawab if you recite the Holy Qur'an. The Quran also says in Surah An-Kabut, chapter 29, verse number 45, it says, "Utlu ma uhiya ilayka min al-kitabi," that recite of what we have revealed to you by inspiration. That means you will get sawab. And there are hadith even mentioned in Tirmidhi, hadith number 1003, which says that if anyone recites a single letter, the Prophet said, if anyone recites even a single letter of the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will get blessings, which will be tenfold. And Alif Lam Mim is not one letter, Alif is one letter, Lam is one letter, and Mim is one letter. That means for every letter of the Holy Qur'an you recite, you get 10 sawab. For example, if you say Alif Lam Mim, you get 10, 30 sawab. There is no doubt about it. But I am asking the question that are these 10, 10, 10, 30 sawab sufficient to transport a human being to Jannah? The amount of mistakes we do throughout the day, the amount of sins we commit, do you think these 10, 10, 10 sawab is sufficient for you to be transported to Jannah? If you recite the Holy Qur'an and understand it and implement it in your life, inshallah you will get multiple times more sawab. Multiple times more sawab. There are Muslims who do Khatmi Qur'an in Ramadan, once, twice, 10 times. Alhamdulillah, they will get the sawab. But I tell them that instead of reading the complete Quran only in Arabic without understanding twice, it's preferable to read it once along with the translation, along with understanding. You will get multiple times more sawab. Why? Because the beloved Prophet said. It's mentioned in Ibn Majah, chapter number 16, hadith number 219, that if a person, the Prophet said, learns one verse of the Holy Qur'an, it is better than offering 100 rakats of salah. If you learn, if you understand one verse of the Holy Qur'an, it is better than offering 100 rakat salah. And in every rakat minimum you have to recite Surah Fatiha, which contains 7 verses. Therefore, in 100 rakat salah, you will have minimum 700 verses. So if you learn one verse of the Holy Qur'an with understanding, it is preferable than reciting 700 verses. That's what our beloved Prophet said. And the Holy Qur'an says in Surah Sad, chapter number 38, verse number 29, that Quran is a book which we have revealed full of blessings, so that you can meditate on those verses, and the men of understanding shall receive admonition. The Holy Qur'an says in Surah chapter 62, verse number 5, the similitude of those that were given the Mosaic law, but they did not fulfill their obligation. They are like donkeys carrying tons of book but understand it not. The Quran says that the Jews were given with the Mosaic law, but they did not practice that law. It is as though they are like donkeys carrying tons of book but they understand it not. If suppose there is a person who goes to France to acquire a degree in science, and the medium of instruction is French, which he does not understand. He religiously every day attends the lectures. At the end of the year, during examination, he gets the question paper. Since the person can read English and the script of English and French is the same, he can pronounce the paper but does not understand anything of the question paper. For every lecture he attends, he gets a P. The P means present. He appears for the examination, he gets a P. But the P does not mean pass. It means only presence. He was present for the examination. But when the results are out, do you think he will pass the examination? He does not understand the question paper. How will he pass the examination? Similarly, the Holy Quran says in Surah Al-Mulk, chapter 67, verse number 2, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created death and life so that he may test which of you is good in deeds. This life that you're leading in this world is an examination, is a test for the hereafter. And the rules for this examination is mentioned in the Holy Quran. Only by reciting the Holy Quran without understanding, you will not know what are the rules for this examination. And if you don't know the rules for this examination, how will you pass in this test? It's compulsory to pass in an examination. You should know the rules and regulation, the portion of your test. We Muslims are only satisfied by giving outwardly respect to the Holy Quran. We kiss the Quran and keep it on top, on the topmost shelf. Alhamdulillah. It's very important to give respect to the Holy Quran. But don't give so much outwardly respect that you defeat the very purpose of its revelation, that is guidance. You keep the Quran so much on top that it's difficult to reach that place. It's on the topmost shelf, and very often it accumulates dust. The Quran is a guide to be used daily, a textbook, a reference book, and anything which you require daily, you see to it it's kept in a place which is accessible. You should give respect to the Holy Quran, but don't make it difficult to be approached. Many Muslims, they keep the Holy Quran in a very expensive, beautiful silk cloth, and they tie it up very securely, so that if a person wants to read the Quran, he'll think 10 times. And even if he feels that reading the Quran, the thought of retying the Quran that same way will surely prevent him, will discourage him from reading the Holy Quran. We Muslims, we are afraid to touch the Quran. We scrutinize 1,000 things before touching the Quran as though it's a time bomb, as though it's RDX, it will explode. We scrutinize 10 things before touching the Quran. And many of us Muslims have misconception. You can't read the Quran while standing, you can't read it while traveling, you can't read it at workplace. Wearing a footwear, touching the